when we talk about projection, right? We're talking about whatever whatever you see or think in your mind becomes your reality. That's why they say the mind. Mm-hmm. That's why they say the mind is so powerful.
Yes, it is.
But self mastery comes with emotion. It comes with just self, discipline, awareness. There's so much listed, but once you have mastered yourself in a lot of areas, whether it's how you communicate, like I said, emotions, your thought pattern, what you consider as valuable, okay? Because if you think someone else's thoughts are more valuable than yours, then you're allowing whatever that they're projecting. You're allowing whatever that they're projecting to take over your energy. If you know how to protect your energy, like it used to be times where a woman would tell me, something's gonna happen to you. Watch, somebody gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And when I was in the church, I used to be like, I bind that up in the name of Jesus, or I instantly cut it up, and she would get so hot, she'd get mad. I don't care how old you are. I'm not gonna let you speak death in my life. Period. I don't care who you are. And people would think because they're up in age, they can do that to you. No.
Yep.
No.
Absolutely.
You're not allowed to speak anything ill in my life. You don't have that kind of power.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? People be feeling like they above God when they feel like, okay, well, if I just say this, they're going to have no choice but to respect me. Respect is earned, not given. If I give you respect, I expect it back, but I don't owe it to you. So that meaning if you disrespect me constantly, and I've shown you nothing but respect, but you constantly disrespecting me, there's two ways I can just disregard you. I can just dismiss you or dismiss myself, but since I can't control what you do, I'm just gonna dismiss myself and not have to speak to you. I can just avoid you.
Right.
But another way to not have to deal with that either is, let's just say you within a crowd of people, right? And then somebody say something reckless to you, right? You don't have to respond to it.
Right.
It's still your choice whether you want to respond to it or not.
Mm-hmm. You like the other lady the other day at Chucky's? Now, she didn't say nothing directly to me, but she said it loud enough to direct, to try to get my attention. And I just pretended like I didn't hear and kept on having fun.
Yeah, you don't have to. This is Hans Wilhelm, The Laws of Projection.
Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm. And in this video, in the Life Explained series, I will talk a little bit about the law of projection. A woman was once visited by a friend, and she complained bitterly to her friend how dirty her neighbor was. She has a dirty house, the children are dirty. Look at her washing on the line, she says. They're full of black streaks. So her friend goes to the window, looks out, and she says, "My friend, I think the clothes are quite clean. The streaks are on your window." Mm-hmm. This, in a nutshell, is the law of projection. Now, let's have a look how it actually works. This law of projection is a mental law of the mind. It says that whatever we project on the screen of our mind, we perceive in the world around us. Imagine we have one of these old-fashioned movie projectors in our head. There are the two reels, and this is the movie projector. And the screen for that movie is firstly our mind. And the movie that is always running in our head is called my beliefs, my characteristics, my hang-ups, and my programs. And the screen for this movie is not just our mind, but it is also the world around us. Someone said that the world we perceive is nothing but an outpicturing of our beliefs. In other words, whatever we see inwardly determines what we see on the outside. If I perceive, for instance, a lot of hate in me, I see a lot of hate in the outside world. And if I see a lot of love in me, I see a lot of love also around me. Whatever is in me determines what I see in the world around me. In his book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle calls the world within us the primary reality, and the world outside of us the secondary reality. The primary reality determines how we experience the secondary reality. The world around us reflects to us who we are, what we judge, what we fear, and most of all our beliefs, our programs and characteristics. The external world also mirrors how we feel about ourselves and what we believe about ourselves. Wherever we look, we only see ourselves. Look at this wonderful toy. It perfectly demonstrates how we see the world. We are that little person in the center of our world, and wherever this little person looks, he only sees himself in all the mirrors around him. That is exactly how the world around us reflects nothing but ourselves back to us. Who we are, what we judge, what we fear, our character traits, and all our beliefs. We normally say seeing is believing, but in actuality it's the other way around. Believing is seeing, because our belief determines what we see. Interesting, isn't it? And as we believe, so we experience the creation of the physical reality around us, always, no exception. Every belief is an absolute self-fulfilling system of our own personal reality. And if we want to see anything change in the world, we have to change first. We have to either change the movie, or we have to clean the projector. Sometimes there's some dirty on the movie. We have to clean the lens of the lens. And then this becomes clean again. Before we try to stop the wars in the world, we have to stop the wars within ourselves first. So whatever bugs us is in us. This includes all the people, situations, or anything else that pushes our buttons. They mirror to us beliefs, behavior patterns, attitudes, character traits that we either overtly express or secretly repress. That's why this law is also called it takes one to know one, or you spot it, you got it law. What we spot in the other person is in us. We also know it as the kettle calling the pot black. And others call it the triggering law because it triggers something off in us. We are what we see in others. If we are angry, we see, of course, angry people in us. People or situations that give us emotional charges are reflecting a charge we have against ourselves. It can go so far that a person who is physically hurting us is also reflecting a hurt that we have inflicted inwardly onto ourselves. Whatever people outwardly do unto us, we have been doing inwardly to ourselves. In other words, people are expressing what we are repressing. If we inwardly attack, push, resist ourselves, we feel outwardly attacked, pushed, and or resisted by others. Whatever bugs us in others is in us, always. Ever since I learned about this spiritual law some 40 years ago, I've been searching for exceptions, and so have my students, but so far we have not found a single exception to this law. If you're so doubtful, here is a simple test. Pick your least favorite politician or president, and then write down 3 of his most despicable characteristics. I'm just making this here up. One is flip-flop, one is he lies, he manipulates, Well, you have to write really your own personal characteristics there which you hate in that person. Now write behind each of these characteristics 3 incidences where you have been doing the same thing or desperately wanted to do the same thing in your life at one time or another. When you are honest with yourself, you will find these instances very quickly. Write them down in a few words. Now, once you have completed this list, go over these 3 instances and that you have listed and think of how they have actually served you and gave you what you wanted. The last part of this exercise is helpful for us to realize that even the so-called negative character traits all have a positive side to it as well, the yin-yang. Because everything is balanced in our universe. Everything has 2 sides to it. And only once we see the whole picture can we start loving that what has haunted us for so long. But the great thing about this law of projection is the fact that it also reflects back to us all the good characteristics that we admire so much in others. Here's a little halo. All the talents, the skills, the manners that we may have even envied others. They are actually also in us, otherwise we could not have recognized them in the other. Remember, you spot it, you got it. We have the same talents, the same skills, but we may not have been aware of them or expressed them, but they are there, waiting for us to use them and to own them. So the law of projection is an amazing gift that helps us to recognize ourselves and shows us what we still have to love and clear up, so that we become once again that magnificent, glorious being that we all are in truth.
Now that's what I was meaning by law of projection, just projection. Yeah. You're only going to see in someone else that you already had within your own reality. Now he extended a little bit more from what I was saying as far as the positive aspect of it too. You know, you spotted, you got it. So this boils down to what I was saying with children. You know, we would love to say, you know, that child is hard-headed. That child don't listen. That child is incapable of this, or this child is incapable of that. But or that child is stupid or dumb, or those negative things, those traits about a child or a woman against another woman. Oh, she's fat, she's this, she's ugly, she's black, she doesn't fit the criteria, or a man hating on another, guy. Oh, he don't got it. He don't got it like me. Or, it's just some things, even though sometimes we feel like that inside, you got to look at the time, date as well of what they were feeling, even in music. You just got to think about where their mindset was at that time. Mm-hmm. But then I always talk about balance too. When somebody comes back with something beautiful, it lets you know, and it shows how beautiful they really are. Mm-hmm. Because they might have been experiencing something at that time. Child, when somebody, especially this is really, really bad when adults compete with their children to the point where they don't have nothing positive to say, that their child can't even excel. Mm-hmm. Or
it's terrible.
Or when another parent targets another parent based off the child. That happens.
Say that again.
A parent that targets another parent, mm-hmm. try to critique every parenting skill about someone else's, but at the same time, how come you only see the negative aspect of that person? You have nothing positive to say about them pertaining to them being a parent, a mother or a father. But you see all the positive in you, but you see all the negative in someone else. That's projection. You don't want nobody to know that's who you really are. That person might not say anything negative or bad about you.
Right.
They probably had nothing but that's somebody who mastered themselves. They had nothing but positive things to say about you and themselves, but you have nothing but negative things to say about them and only positive things to say about yourself. That's only because you use them as a scapegoat. A scapegoat is when you drop off your issues, your problems, your innermost insecurities off to someone else, because you don't want people to recognize you as that, because you're looking for instant gratification. All of that is part of narcissism.
I tell you what, it kind of makes me think about, I know it's, see, I remember, I don't know if I shared this one story about you, about the time I was talking to Benjamin, well, I shouldn't say his name, but you know what the rest of that name is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, they was coming at me as if I was a bad person. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You know, well, nobody's perfect, but what you're talking about is if they were talking to me as if I was cheaters, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to me like that, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, that ain't who you got.
Right.
I ain't never cheated on you, tried to cheat on you, wanted to cheat on you. But the fact that you're coming to me like that, and what I said was, that tells me you ain't never had a good woman in your life, because you don't know how to recognize one.
Right. But that all comes from insecurities within self. If I was a man,
right,
or just a person that was just an unfaithful person,
right.
If I was always an unfaithful person, I will continue to be unfaithful and recognize someone else's unfaithfulness. That's narcissism, because you're trying to take the attention off of me to put it on somebody else. That's no different from a snitch or a person that you work with.
Repeat that. It didn't get in my head yet.
Okay. If let's just say I'm an unfaithful person, and I'm always talking about how unfaithful somebody else is, right? No proof.
Just talking.
But I always got a man somewhere. I'm always sleeping with somebody. I'm always, you understand what I'm saying? Like, every time you look around, I'm in a relationship with somebody. There's no proof, no actual factual proof that I am with these people, but I got everything to say, not proof, say about you. I'm trying to add this to that, to this to that, to make it real, because that would be really my reality. That's why a person who always saying somebody else cheating is the main one cheating.
They usually the one cheating.
Because they're projecting.
Yeah, they own things onto the other person.
Because they want the attention. It's no different from a job. You working hard.
So you think
you feel unappreciated. But you always in the office with the manager. Why? Because that person that went and told on you never doing the job. They just don't want the attention on them. They're like an informant. That's why people don't like informants. Because every time you look around, they always talking about somebody else and what they're not doing. But then when it's time for you to show your work, you have nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
You have no proof of it even actually being real. Yeah. Or you have no proof of it actually being what you're saying to be true.
Right.
That's why I always tell people, now all I can do is defend myself. That's all I can do. Most of the things I talk about, whether it's an intuitive message, because I can relate to so many people, most things that I speak on is really surrounding myself and my energy. Somebody else somebody else, let me correct myself, somebody else could be experiencing the same thing, but they don't have no proof, or they just think they're alone going through the same thing. But there's somebody that could be friends with them saying that's not true, that's not real. And the whole time it's them. They just don't want you. They just don't want that other person to see that it's them. So what they do, they project. They try to make it seem like, oh, it's just them. It's just they just going crazy. Something wrong with them. When really, they just trying to hide the fact that they're a problem.
Yeah. Okay, recently I saw that. I didn't understand what I was looking at the moment. I just thought, what are you talking about? I got kind of defensive because the person was trying to call my fella out, right?
Mm-hmm.
As if I'm like, why is my fella business coming off, or it ain't even his business coming off of your lips? It wasn't even their business, but somehow you thought it's okay for you to say that. And I was talking about my ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about my ring. Yeah, I got somebody I refer to as my twin, right? We share the same birthday. And we was in class, and my friend, the one I've talked about recently, was made this comment talking about, yeah, you got that ring. Yeah, that's because now you got this new house and this new car. Right? That's because of that. And I said, what you talking about? Oh yeah, that's because you got this, yeah, and everything, and they. I said, yeah, it's my car. What are you talking about? Yeah, and they ride in it and stuff. I said, you ride in it and you ain't gave me no ring. What are you talking about? It ain't. What had nothing to do with nothing.
It only bothered them the only reason why they wanted to make it your problem was because it was a problem for themselves.
Absolutely.
And it did not affect you because you were already protected with self-mastery when it came down to jealousy and hate.
Yeah.
You don't let that type of stuff get to you. But
right.
a person who does not protect themselves from jealousy or hate, that's going to trigger them every chance they get. No matter how positive a person come at them, they're going to take it as somebody's being jealous or hateful to them only because that's the reality that they're living in.
Right.
So that person can become genuine. I'm talking about wholeheartedly genuine to them. But they're going to show nothing but hate, jealousy. They want to start all kind of chaos, nonsense. And the whole time, then you got all these people trying to figure out why this person is always defending themselves when the whole time this person knew what was going on. They just tried to ignore as much as they can until they got backed up in the corner enough to say, you know, enough is enough. I tried to be nice. I tried to be friendly. I see that that's not what you like. Not what you want. You don't like somebody being nice to you. You don't want nobody showing sympathy to you. You don't want nobody to care about you. Because if you did, you would accept the fact that someone was showing you genuine love in the first place. You wouldn't have to ask for it. When someone's being genuine and someone's showing you unconditional love, you don't have to beg for that. That's going to come to you anyway because you're not chasing it. You attract.
Right.
Love should not ever be something that you just chase. You attract that because that's what you see in yourself. When you love, see, that's confirmation. When you love yourself enough, you wouldn't have to ask for it from nobody else.
Right.
The thing, you're going to experience obstacles. But sometimes people don't understand. Sometimes God is just showing you, have you really passed the test? Are you really walking that light that you say that you're walking in? Because if you're not, then it's going to show with how you treat people or the advice that you give other people.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm put you through this domestic situation, are you still going to walk in love at the end? If I put you through a poverty situation, are you still going to be humble like you did when you had the millions? Or when you had them awards.
Right.
Okay, I'll be in a second. If I put you... Huh? Huh? Okay, here I come.
Okay.
If I show you... If I send someone to love you, appreciate you, would you still feel appreciated and loved even if things fall apart? That's what unconditional. That's what unconditional love is, because it's not something that you just receive for somebody else. If you unconditionally love yourself,
Right.
no matter how a person treats you, whether you feel unappreciated or not, when you appreciate yourself,
Right.
when you give God thanks as gratitude, because he didn't have to wake you. People be thinking like, oh, I was supposed to wake up because my alarm went off. Well, how many times did you wake up and your alarm didn't come on? People forget that. You didn't wake, you didn't sign, you didn't put no dibs on that. If it was a list that you sign your name to wake up every morning, you will be on the waiting list. People be thinking certain things is old to them. And that's why they treat people the way they do. That's why they talk to people the way that they do. A person could be just sitting there saying, hey, can you kind of speak up a little bit? I can't quite hear you. Instead of just being rude and just lashing out on them, going off on them. Man, somebody just trying to tell you, man, I want to hear what you have to say. I just can't. I just can't hear you. Just speak up a little bit. But you got some people in their ego, too upset, but they say, I'm light. They don't understand. They're just binding themselves constantly binding themselves constantly.
You're too light.
I'm of light. That's what they say.
Light.
I'm of light. So but they're constantly pushing out all this negative energy. Yeah, I'ma just do this and it's just gonna work in my favor. I'ma just do this and it's just gonna work in my favor. You know what makes me unpredictable? Because I know I'm spontaneous, but what makes me so unpredictable is I move with the energy. So if the energy flow left, I'm going left. If it flow right, I'ma flow right. When people try to do certain things to make themselves look more superior, what it does is, because if that person intuitively know what you're doing, okay, if they know all you doing is manipulation, you putting out negativity, you triggering people in the way that, because negative energy is triggering for me. So if I know that you saying something, because people been saying negative stuff towards me for a long time, so when somebody say something negative, I read something, it triggers my spirit off the bat. I avoid them. Why? Because if I pretend like I don't see it, eventually I'm going to be a part of that. Because when you step in somebody's energy and you know it's not of light, or you know it's not from a positive aspect, you know what happens? What tends to happen?
What? What do you?
You are basically opening the door for anybody. Your home, your body is your overall temple.
Correct.
So when you open your heart to certain things, because that's what you do when you welcome other people inside your circle. You open in your heart because you have to trust somebody enough to be around them, right?
Enough, yes.
Which means somewhere in there you open, I don't care if it's a small door.
Right, it could be the window.
It could be the window.
Right.
You crack just a little bit for somebody to get in. Guess what's going to happen? Now, whatever they're feeling is in you. It's no different from the things that you listen to or the things that you say, the people you surround yourself by. It doesn't matter.
Right. Even if it's not accepted completely as fact or something you want to use as for yourself, it can still be, like you said, it can still affect you. Even if it's somebody come in the wind and they scratch the walls, it has made an impression of some sort. Even if it's just scratch, it still rubbed you the wrong way. Yeah, because it's a scratch. That's why that term "rub me the wrong way" is real. Because somebody can that phrase.
Yeah. Yes. Somebody can either rub you or just scratch you. But it's just all depending on how you... If somebody scratched you, they rubbed you the wrong way.
Absolutely.
It wasn't gentle. You know, right. But if somebody coming with and rub you the wrong way from a conscious perspective. That's from a conscious perspective. Subconsciously, is the things that they talk about.
Yeah.
People don't care for me a lot because it's certain things I don't, and I always been like that. When you've been outcasted long enough, you tend to grow up or become an adult that tends to be that way, where you have taught yourself how to be independent mentally, to the point where when adults start doing it, when adults start playing high school games, you start being like, you know what? I've been here before, been there, done that. I know what to do. I did this as a child. I can just go on and do what I did. They got me past that, so I can move forward, and I'm gonna be okay.
So that's also a form of projection.
Mhm.
I've been there, done that. This is what I'm seeing, and could it be what I'm seeing? Or it could also be something you ain't never seen before, and it blew you all to the left.
Mhm.
And I've had that happen, and it could have been other persons that was doing the projecting. I just didn't know what I was looking at. You know what I mean? Because it never happened before.
Mhm.
I've had those situations where you may not have been projecting, but the other person was, and you didn't know what the heck was going on.
Right.
Like me going in, I went into a school one time. Had to come up to your school when you were a little girl. And I walked into, I think it was a PTA meeting in the gym area. I walked in there, just being myself, not being grand, I don't think. But then again, I do have apparently I have something about me that sometimes other people might not. I don't know what they're seeing, but anyway, I'm just doing me, and I don't have time to be trying to solve what you call it, add up what it exactly is going on with them. But what I did recognize,
Right,
was a look like a kind of a stank look, and I'm like, I don't even know this person. You know what I mean? And I'm just walking in the door, and I had a positive attitude, good mindset. Didn't have no reason to be, I didn't expect that. So because it's not like it comes from an area of knowing of something that I've experienced before,
right,
or something that I just expected somebody to do. I didn't expect that at all because it's never happened before.
right.
I mean, I never had somebody looking at me like they were a hater, and I'm like, well, why she do that? I was curious then, not at that moment, but I was didn't know what to feel because I didn't see myself with the same. I didn't see the projection she saw.
Right. So this is what I was saying, right? Real quick, and I'm gonna wrap this up. I had to cover myself because I do look like a look. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna show you something. You see, like where the projection screen is, right?
Yeah.
Let's just take this person right here. Thinks that these three people are competing with them, right?
Okay.
If this person thinks mentally that these three people are competing with them, that's all he gonna see. That's all he gonna see. But which means he's only gonna treat them as if they're competitors. That's the only thing he's gonna see. But if he see them, they could be somebody I can work with.
Mm-hmm.
Then guess what? That's all he gonna see.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people they miss opportunities and miss out on good people, miss out on good friends for that very reason. They haven't healed certain parts of themselves, and then they want to make it seem like the other person is the problem. Well, really, all of it is going on in their head. Right. And they're going to say it's in their head that they think I would feel that way. But you have people who intentionally are like that. I'm talking about from a narcissistic level. They know they start stuff. They know they have created a rabbit hole for themselves. They know that they have did a lot of things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So they try to cover it up as much as they can. But every dog has its day.
Yep.
Every dog has its day. So how much of it are you going to cover up before it backlash on you horribly? Because the more people involved, the worse it get.
Yeah, we see a lot of that on the news lately, aren't we?
Trust me, because people will keep the stuff going.
Yep, and there's constant stuff coming up. Yep, about what that person did.
And they feel like, oh, if I can just outnumber them, if I just keep outnumbering them, eventually they're gonna stop whatever they're doing. They don't want to come off as a hater. They don't want to come off as a jealous person. They don't want to come off as insecure. I'm just gonna outnumber them every time. But all it takes is one person that operate in love and intelligence can wipe out the masses. Why? Because they use their mind. And they did it from the heart.
Exactly.
And
that's exactly what's happening.
And those two things God communicate with you with. Your heart and your mind. So if you isolate a person enough where they have nobody but God, you already done lost the battle. Session's over with.